Hey everybody, Rob Orgel with Silencer Syndicate, and as you already know, I'm the guy who loves to test silencers, their host, how they pair, what kind of back pressure we get out of them, and I wanted in this video to take a step back and look at the other side of the spectrum. That's the guy who's providing us with so much cool stuff and making sure we're prepared for the range before we get to the range. So I'm here with Eric from East Valley Tactical. I'll let you do your intro.
Yes, sir. Thanks for coming in, Rob. Eric Anderson, owner of East Valley Tactical, also known as Mr. Silencer. We're Arizona's largest silencer dealer. But we also have a full store full of guns, ammo, accessories, and gunsmithing services to get you running with your new suppressor.
And this is quite a storefront. You got a lot of great hosts. Before we started filming, we walked around and talked about our favorites and why, and what we like and dislike. There's a lot of good info for us to share, but this is quite a location that if you're in Phoenix, it's worth checking out. And if you're kind of outside of Phoenix and you want to do the Google search, they have a lot to offer and they have very competitive prices. All right, so let's touch on our first topic. So there's this odd new problem in my life where my cell phone battery doesn't last as long as it used to. And it has to do with me checking my email too often. The reason I'm checking my email so much is that you would think when it says e-file or ATF that we would get very nervous. However, it's pretty exciting for us these days to be looking for, did my toy clear yet?
Sure.
And when that email comes through and you're on that high, you're ready to play with your new toy and you go to the gun store, what advice would you give that very giddy guy who's ready to shoot his new rifle, suppressor, whatever? What advice would you give him?
So the last thing we want is for someone to go to the range for the first time after this high and have a poor experience. So we always tell people, let's think through which guns you're suppressing, what suppressors you're putting on them, and let's think about the best way to mount it, where it's going to be a repeatable, sustainable solution for them.
I think that's really solid because you need to know your manufacturer, you need to know their thread pitch, and then you kind of have to pick a mounting host solution. If you're an ASR guy, one of the Q systems, the Plan B Q systems, reared, and there's so many options to choose from. And we did a video specifically on that topic about what my favorite is. Of course, I'm currently challenging that theory because there's another really nifty system out because it keeps getting better. We're in this pivotal year of silencers where things have grown like never before. But as you're preparing this person and you tell them, bring your gun in, you're going to set them up for success with the right mounting system, with an appropriate silencer, and then they're going to get to the range and find out that their gun probably overgasses. So the next question, naturally, when they come back to the gun store is going to be,
how can we improve it, right? And so even with quality firearms like Daniel Defense that are just going to run, you may be overgassed with a certain high back pressure silencer, which are common on the market. So the next thing we talk about customers with is how can we tune the gun or dial it in where it's going to work well with the suppressor you purchased. There's kind of three ways that we normally will do that. At the gas block, and rifle speed and superlative arms are pretty good there. At the BCG, and we've had pretty good luck with bootleg there, or the buffer system. What are your thoughts on those?
So really good topic, but let's start with the Daniel Defense thing, right?
Sure.
I don't know about you. I love Daniel Defense. I think they're phenomenal rifles. I was issued one in Baghdad a long time ago, and it just phenomenal piece of equipment. But we do know that they purposefully overgas their gun, and that's to gain reliability to win a contract, naturally. Now, when you add a suppressor to that, way too much gas in the face and ejecting forward and wear and tear and all those. You already know my opinion about back pressure, and if you don't, I'll give you a video that you can check out about why I hate back pressure so much. Now, having said that, your top three are kind of my top three. Start from the gas system from the front, and that's what gas block can we use. And the rifle speed, which you've seen me use, allows me to adjust from suppressed to unsuppressed very quickly. So if the situation happens where my suppressor takes a baffle strike and my rifle needs to keep fighting anyways with or without a suppressor, maybe I didn't have time to screw it on or I forgot it at home, I want to still be able to use my rifle and have it not be a World War I bolt action rifle. So being able to quickly toggle between suppressed and unsuppressed, I think rifle speed, as you said, conquers that the best as long as you're willing to tinker. Because you got to go to the range, what, 2-3 times, tinker, adjust the plungers. As long as you're willing to give the time, you'll come out with a great system.
And the right barrel and handguard combo.
100%. Yeah, not all of them fit. So there's a little bit of learning curve that takes place there. The next one would be, as you mentioned, which gas block do you like the most?
Superlative.
Superlative.
Good luck with that.
They're good. There's a couple other really good ones out there that are a little bit more cost effective. Superlative, I think, is probably the leader in the industry, however. But once you tune that to your suppressor and you get it just right, if you don't have your suppressor, you're back to World War I with a bolt action rifle. So it's just something to think about, that not always do we intend for our silencer to go out range. And in some cases, it's not just a play day, it's more than a play day. And we need to keep fighting or engage in a pig or whatever it is we might be doing. So I think there's challenges that most of us probably, hopefully, won't find with one of those gas blocks. And then finally, the buffer weights. You said buffer weights, buffer springs, and that's kind of a micro adjustment, right? We can't get a whole lot out of that. Oh, there was one more you mentioned, that's bolt carrier groups.
It's easy.
I like bolt carrier groups a whole bunch because you can get the standard operating process out of your weapon, and then you can mitigate bleed off through the ejection port like bootleg did. I will tell you this, this was my anomaly in that exploration, was that when you get, which one's your favorite? The bootleg?
Yeah.
So when you get the bootleg bolt carrier group, it bleeds off gas even in the unsuppressed setting. So you had this perfectly reliable rifle, you drop this in, and then, hey, it won't shoot unsuppressed.
Yeah.
Now you might have to tamper with your buffers, buffer springs, even though you're doing the bolt carrier group. So I think there's some tinkering any way you cut it, but I think there's a better option altogether. What do you think that one would be?
Probably a low back pressure silencer.
The plug and play.
Yeah.
Yeah. What low back pressure suppressors offer us is so many of our rifles just don't want to be suppressed. They overgas, they don't have settings. You look at some of the spears, I mean, there are really not a lot of options. You get a low back pressure suppressor and the rifle goes, okay, cool, whatever.
Yes.
And before, if you put a standard suppressor system on it, it just wouldn't fly. So I think phase one is make sure the rifle and silencer hold hands.
Yep.
Phase two is make sure they play together well with the proper gassing.
Yep.
And phase three is the master key.
Yes.
Low back pressure silencers.
Yep.
It's the way.
Yep.
Cool. I think that's really good takeaways for guys who are just clearing their first eForm or their 10th eForm, that your new silencer, especially if it's a low back pressure silencer, can become friends with so many rifles that now will not require any additional tinkering. If you like this video and want to see more, please always like, comment, subscribe. I know you're watching. Don't be stingy with those likes. Hit the button, and I'll see you in the comments. Do it. See you in the comments.